What's up, my people? Welcome back to Vertical Football. Welcome back to another episode of Fans Corner. Today is a different Fans Corner. Today it's talking about the sad experience we had yesterday. The Super Eagles of Nigeria, our dreams of going to the World Cup came to an end yesterday after a penalty shoot defeat to DR Congo. So, guys, a lot of talking points. Really, I think yesterday it was really a sad moment, and I just felt that the 5 things of that game will be so emotional. And in as much as I understand that it's an emotional moment for us as Nigerians, but I just felt it would be good to make it a fans corner where the emotions have they are still there, but where the emotions have a little bit subsided, and where we can now be honest and analyze the Super Eagles, analyze where we are currently, analyze what we saw yesterday, analyze also what it means for the future of football in terms of our senior men's team, the Super Eagles. So, guys, a lot of talking points. Let's jump right into it. I think first and foremost, I want to take it in batches. I want to first and foremost talk about yesterday's game. I felt that and this might have been my own opinion while watching the Super Eagles team under Eric Chell. I've always felt that I can see a little bit of an idea when the Super Eagles plays, when they play under Eric Chell. I can see what they try to do. But I also understand the fact that it's a national team and drastic changes don't really happen because there's not much time on the training ground. There's not much time together to understand the coaches' ideas. And so I've always believed that, I can see the signs, even though, yes, the signs are not consistent. And I think the signs are a team that has a lot of European-based players that understand how to play the European kind of football, dominating kind of football. They want to have the ball. They want to pass the ball. They want to dominate. A team that is also adaptive in terms of if they meet a team that's stronger than them, they can, sit back and then hit in various forms on the transition, the long balls and counter-attack. So I've always seen the idea of the Super Eagles under Eric Chell, and I've always been of the opinion privately, and I think maybe I might have mentioned it once here, the fact that I just feel when they get more time in closed doors to train together, maybe we can see more of that quality, maybe we can see more of that idea pop out. But I think yesterday's game was a reality shock. I think that yesterday's game was really an eye-opener about the fact that certain things are wrong that we already know that are wrong with the Super Eagles. And so for me, I think it was really, really sad to see what we saw yesterday. I felt there were certain issues in that game tactically. There were certain issues in terms of motivation. There were certain issues in terms of ideas and the way of adapting to the game. So let me go into that tactically. For example, in the midfield of yesterday's game, our midfield in the Super Eagles clearly has a problem. Clearly, our midfield in the Super Eagles clearly has a problem. We are a midfield. We have a midfield that is not able to create in terms of the attacking side of our midfield, the creative side of our midfield. We can't create. Could be a personnel issue because when we look at what happens to Iwobi, could be a personnel issue. But also we have to also talk about the fact that we also have a midfield that cannot dominate and cannot calm the ball down, cannot even pass one or two and just have the ball and dominate in a way. I think we're not capable of doing that with the kind of profile of midfielders that we have. And we do respect the likes of Ndidi, Oyeka, Iwobi. We're not just able to do that. And really, it's really a problem if we are being honest to ourselves. Also, I think on the midfield aspect of things, the tactical aspect of the midfield also is a problem. Because yesterday's game against DR Congo, I saw situations whereby what we should have done at certain moments of that game was not even to try and attack, was to just try and calm the game down and try and get our dominance into the game, try and make sure that our passes are complete and will give us confidence. But if you look at that game, DR Congo in the second half, starting from the second half, they also used that strategy in terms of they were passing it around, and the passing it around of their game gave them confidence. And then they got confidence, they now went ahead to start doing what they were doing to us from the second half up until the end of the extra time. But for Nigeria, I just felt we should have, our midfield should be able to pass it around, pass it to defenders. Let that confidence of we are already passing it around, let it give us confidence to now play forward. But I felt that at the moment, it was too early for us in our midfield to switch from a double pivot to single pivot in that midfield. Sometimes we're putting on single pivot, and I don't get the idea of Iwobi coming back to receive the ball. I don't really get that idea, but the coach has his own ideas, but I don't really get the idea of Iwobi coming back when we have two midfielders that one can act as the box to box in a way, right? Maybe Onyeka can do that, and maybe Ndidi comes back. I don't really get the idea of Iwobi coming back to receive the ball. I don't really get that for me. And so I just feel that the structure of the midfield is a problem. The personnel we have in the midfield is also a problem, if we're being honest with ourselves. And that's one of the things I saw yesterday. I think secondly, in terms of our game that we saw yesterday, our defense, I don't want to mention names particularly, but I felt Bassi had a very terrible game, in my opinion. I felt at certain moments he didn't really take use of these options when building up. I felt at certain moments you could easily close him down. And I know, yes, Bassi has a lot of good sides to his game. I feel he gives us balance because of his less footed and the likes, but it wasn't good. It wasn't good yesterday. And that's even minus the penalty miss, but I just felt that at certain moments it wasn't really good. I feel we're not comfortable at that back. Yeah, I know the likes of Frederick was decent and dealt with his duels well, was committed. But I felt apart from Frederick, you look at the other guys, our keeper is not a keeper that gives us stability, if you are being honest with ourselves. Yeah, I don't think there's a moment in that game, maybe apart from the penalties, maybe that's a different ball game. But in the first half, second half, extra times, there was no moment I felt our keeper gave us, calmness and solidity. So there are a lot of questions we need to be asking ourselves in terms of, are we saying, and I'm being honest, and with due respect to Nwabali, with due respect to him, are we saying he's the best goalkeeper we have got? That's one of the questions. Are we saying that the profiles we have in the midfield are the best profiles we have? In terms of this whole country, I know their experience. They you understand? They have played for the top teams. All of them at one point have played in the Premier League, and we see them playing in the Premier League. But the fact is that the best we can do? In terms of the profiles we have in that midfield, does it allow to do certain things? I also understand the fact, tactically also the fact that I don't understand you're a national team, so I don't want to be too harsh on the Super Eagles with that, but we don't really know where our teammate is going to be. And I was surprised that DR Congo were able to know. At least they were able to know. I know, yes, it's a new coach, a new manager that we've got in Eric Chale, but I hope that giving him time, giving him the authority to decide who gets called up to the national team and the profiles that needs in his team, I think we can end up seeing beautiful football from that man. I really have at least some good things to say about him. I felt, let me talk about yesterday's game also. In the aspects of the substitution of Victor Osimhen, I think Victor Osimhen is not just a goal scorer for us. I think yesterday proved that. Victor Osimhen is a life wire for us at the Super Eagles. He brings energy to the team. He's pressing, he's running, boosting the guys' energy, and there are players like that in every team. And I think it's just that our team now has our goal scorer, our life wire. And also Victor Osimhen is he has a mental effect on our team in terms of, and also on the opponent, because the removal, I keep saying it, that the removal of Victor Osimhen yesterday had more mental impact on DR Congo than it had a tactical impact on them. So the fact is, there wasn't really a tactical impact on them, but the fact is that, Osimhen has been removed. Now we can go ahead with more confidence to play the Super Eagles. And I think that's what really happened. It was painful to see the fact that even when the game went the way it went, in the sense of they were dominating us on every facet of the game. Every facet of the game yesterday were dominated. It's clear you guys saw it. But even when it went that way, I felt we could have adapted. We could have brought ourselves into the game. For example, I felt, even for the first 30 minutes of that game, I felt that one of the ways we were using to get decent chances against Congo, DR Congo, was the fact that when we played to the back of their defensive line, And I felt we had some chances. You could remember we had some chances. They cut back that two players, were battling for who will play it. So we had those opportunities. So for me, I was just like, if we see that we're having those opportunities playing into the behind of the defensive line, and now we're in a situation whereby the opponent, DR Congo, is dominating us on all sides, I think we have to adapt and try and get a foothold back into the game by playing it long. By playing it long and having beat the big guys in the front, Tolu and the other guys to try and win the ball and link up, and maybe something can happen there. Maybe there's a flip up and someone can just nod the ball or something. I think we didn't do that a lot, and that was one of the things that pained me. In fact, I understand that a football match, you can lose control of a football match, even though I don't expect us to lose control that much to DR Congo. But also, we need to adapt better and try to still put, our hands into the game. Try to still have one hand to the game. And I felt that it was always a matter of time that we were going to lose that game. I think we're even very lucky that DR Congo obviously didn't have firepower to bury the chances they had. If they had firepower, if the likes of maybe Wissa was fit and it was available, I think that game could have finished early enough for them because it was total dominance and it was really, really painful to see. Really painful to see. But the fact is, I felt that can happen in football. It's a game. It can happen in football. You can lose dominance. They can dominate you. They can pass it around. They can dominate you on the second balls. They can be more physical than you. They can win the duels better than you. We understand that. But try to adapt. Try to look at what is their weakness so far that we're able to identify. And it was the fact that whenever we played behind the defensive line, they struggled. Let's do that more. And maybe we could have gotten a goal and everything could have finished in our own favor. So I think we're shockingly bad yesterday. We cannot deny that. And lastly, the penalties. For me, penalties are in any man's game. I think for me, I'm not someone that loves to analyze penalties, but I feel even though penalties is any man's game, try to put your best foot forward. Why, in my opinion, is Bassi playing the first penalty for the Super Eagles? Why is he playing it? Why is Ajayi? Because when looking at Ajayi, with due respect to him, when I saw him coming to pick it, I could see, and I with due respect to him, professional footballer, but I could see the lack of confidence in his eyes, and I just knew he was going to lose it. I just knew he was going to lose it. I felt that we should have gotten. I understand maybe they were the most confident to pick it at that moment to want to play, but the fact is, I don't think they are the best. I don't think they are the best we have. I don't think Bassi is the best we have to start taking that penalties. And I think we see how he played the penalty. With due respect to Bassi, I don't think it's the best we had. Yes, it might have been the most confident we had at that moment, but was it the best we had to play that penalty? And it was painful. It was painful. Like, Bassi playing our first penalty? Are we joking? And it ended the way it ended. And then to the last thing, to the coach comments about the voodoo comment, I think there's not much to say. I don't want to go into that discussion, but the fact is, irrespective of what you think they are doing in DR Congo, whether it's voodoo or the likes, that doesn't negate the fact that it wasn't voodoo that made you to choose Bassi to play the first penalty. It wasn't voodoo that made you to include Ajayi, as a penalty shooter. I think it wasn't. Moses Simon also. I don't think these are players that, in my opinion, they are good players, fantastic players, professionals. I respect them. But they are not players I would trust to play the penalty. Even when looking at them and looking at the way they play, I'm like, yeah, I don't know what goes on in the training. I don't know, maybe they're the one banging in the penalties. But from what I've seen in their game, I don't think they're the best to start our penalties really. And I think yesterday proved that to us. So we're out of the World Cup. We're out of the World Cup obviously now. It's painful. It's painful, really, really painful. And I know Nigerians were emotional and rightfully so. So I think let's talk. We talked a lot about the manager and the players and what happened yesterday. I feel I'm in support of the manager. I think I get the idea of what he wants to do. I just feel that there's certain things he needs to improve upon in terms of his, he should be more active in terms of. Sometimes we just needed the manager to just shout and just try and ginger the boys up. Also, I'm skeptical about how much control does he have in the players he's calling and the profiles he's actually bringing on board. Because we know the NFF and what goes on in that whole cesspool, really. Really. But the fact is, I wish and hope that it's able to enact its own idea, which I can see in parts on the Super Eagles fully. I wish and hope is giving the freedom to call players that might not necessarily be the big stars, but are necessarily the right profile to bring about the kind of football we want to see. Because when you look at DR Congo, there are questions. When you look at the way they played us yesterday, there are questions. Are we truly a giant in African football? We have to be honest ourselves. There's no doubt that the Super Eagles has a lot of the best players that are coming out from Africa, if not the best players that are coming out from Africa currently. There's no doubt about that. But the fact is, as a team, are we the best? Are we among the best? We're not the best, but are we among the best currently? I think the standards of our team football in Africa has dropped massively. And I think we are still under the delusion because we have individual players that we have not yet noticed the fact that our ability as a team has dropped drastically. The way we were schooled, the way we were taught football by DR Congo was not a coincidence. I don't think that's not a coincidence. Coincidence doesn't happen like that. I think that's a reality check. And that's a thing we should be looking at. We got so played. It's not like it's a lock. On DR Congo, they played us. That kind of play, you don't call it luck. You have to sit back to the drawing board and say, how did we get here? And I think for me, we have great individuals, footballers, Osimhen, Lookman, we have, Iwobi, amazing players and the likes. But the fact is, we cannot tell me we have the best team. And I think yesterday showed you that we might be overestimating our abilities in terms of our team. Yeah, I put myself, we finished Nations Cup second. We finished with second in the Nations Cup, the last Nations Cup. The fact is, did you see the kind of football we played in the Nations Cup? Did you see the kind of football? Did you see there were some games in that Nations Cup? I think maybe especially the quarterfinals, I think, we are also played, but not played like DR Congo. I'm trying to remember the team we played. They also played us. They played us. They tapped it around. But the fact is, the Nations Cup, we knew how to score goals and we were defensively solid up until the final that everything went out. We didn't play the best football in the Nations Cup, but we got to second. And maybe people are looking at the second to think that maybe we are doing well. But the fact is that we've not been doing well. We have to be very honest ourselves. The quality of our football has drastically reduced. And at the same time, the quality of our fellow African brothers seems to be increasing without we knowing it. And I think yesterday is an awakening. There's something seriously wrong with our on-field activities of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So let's go to the NFF because for me, I've seen a lot of news, a lot of things about the NFF. And first and foremost, we all know it's not a news story. This is what the NFF has been known for. Sadly so. And as you guys know, on the podcast, I usually say something about football. I usually say that the last place you will see the rot of a football team is on the pitch. But the fact is that the rot of a football team or a footballing nation doesn't start on the pitch. It starts from the backyard. It starts from the board. It starts from the association, the organization, the footballing association. And NFF is a rot. We cannot deny that. And the rot of the NFF will always find its way to the pitch. That's the way football works. The rot inside always finds its place on the pitch. And the pitch is always the fact is we have underachieved. With the kind of players that we have, it's clear we've underachieved massively. And I think we can also trace that back to the rottenness of the NFF. I was speaking to our guys on the podcast and I was like, it's a shame. For example, it's a shame how we love football so much in this country, how we appreciate the game, how we have that passion for the game. We have the players to play the game. We have our players that are, majority of the players that played yesterday are Premier League players, starters for their teams, and when we come to a point where, as a Super Eagles team, we don't even have a training ground, like a training complex where this is the Super Eagles. This is our training complex, like the Clairefontaine of France, or when the England, what's their base now, their training base. We don't even have a building where I was talking about them that what will it take us in this country, for example, to show that you're investing in the infrastructure needed for the Super Eagles and for the Super Falcons and for the Golden Eaglets and all those age groups, what will it take us as a country to have a training base? A training base that maybe has like 10 pitches, 10 standard pitches, that has a gym, that has accommodation, that has, recovery centers, that has an hospital inside. What is it really going to take us? That has, maybe you can even make it like the sports Ministry of Sports base, where there's also a basketball court for the basketball team, and there's accommodation for them, and you have, for example, the swimming, you have a swimming site for them, and you have what they say. What will it take us? Are you telling me it's impossible for us to have that? Are you telling? And I went into the economics of things, how that even when they are not using it, we can still even rent it out for people that want to do a lot of things and still make money off it. What's it going to take us? When you look at some of the videos that come out of how our boys are doing recovery, using bath and putting ice block in bath, when we can actually have standard baths. How much do those things cost that we cannot get those standard baths? How much do those things cost for having a standard? I think this is a call. If we're really serious with sport in this country, which we have not been serious with it for long, we should have these facilities. We should not be hearing things about unpaid. So this is a disgrace. And the fact about life, the fact about football, is that garbage in, garbage out. You can't expect much when you don't put in much. You can't expect much when you don't put in much. At least put in much first, and let's now see. The fact is, the rot of the NFF over the years, really, in the treatment of our leaders and all those things, has also got into the rottenness of our football. Our football is rotten at this moment. And I feel if there is anybody in the NFF that is serious about making amends, I feel we should start by creating an infrastructure, creating a system, creating a meritocracy where people that actually deserve to be in the Super Eagles or the national team or deserve to be at the different age groups actually get there. It's a lot of, I think the work is massive. And that's one of the things that I'm really, really scared of, that I don't think we have even the will to want to even get the work done. I think it's really terrible. And it's sad because we keep having generations of talented footballers, but as a team, we will not achieve much. It's sad, really, really sad. Yesterday to me, it was a wake-up call. We are far behind in terms of team football as in Africa. DR Congo. They schooled us, they taught us football, they trashed us. Forget what happened in the penalty shootout. Talk about how the fact that they played us for 80 minutes, 45 minutes, and the 30 minutes that's the extra time, right? That's 75 additional time, 80 minutes, they played us. They dominated us. It was as if we were playing an European base side. And we didn't have the will and the energy to even make things happen. So, guys, these are my opinions on what is going on. I feel the future of football in Nigeria is gloom. And I think it has been gloom for a number of years. It's sad to see. And I think everybody needs to hold on to what we are doing wrong. And I think we have to make amends. If we are really serious, we have to make amends. If not, we keep having repeats of yesterday. And it's really sad because we are a talented team of players with fantastic professionals. We are also a country that loves the game. We love football. But the fact is, can we also brag of it? That this consecutively we have not been to the World Cup. It's really a wake-up time. So, guys, thank you for sticking with me. This is my little opinion. There's other things I want to say, but I don't want to say. I don't want to mention names, but I think you get the idea of the fact that Nigerian football is rotten, and we need to solve it. Thank you for sticking with me. I remember my humble self, Shegun. This is Vertical Football. Thank you for always watching us. Thank you for liking us. And don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe. And most importantly, don't forget to share. Until I see you next time. Bye.